What up, BMT fam? We're getting into that episode review of Last of Us, episode 3, long time.
Oh, man. Now, every episode that we see, I'm loving it. But hey, we got to introduce ourselves. Got Puma.
Tony T right next to him.
And we got Bucky in the background, right? He might have been infected.
Probably.
He might have been infected.
Looks like he's a clicker now.
Now, this was...
Really?
It was like that.
I understood.
It was like that.
I understood what you said.
I totally got what you were trying to tell me. This was a slowdown episode.
Of course.
Relative to the episode that we saw in episode 2.
Another
right?
prequel.
We didn't see very many clickers in this. There was not a lot of action, but there was a lot of story, a lot of in-depth stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
A lot of backstory. And you know what it is? It's more, we're gonna review the show, but definitely it expands more on the game. So I would say the stuff that happened in this episode was not in the game.
No, at all.
At all.
At all.
At all.
Only, I think, the last part.
Right.
That's about it.
But things that were in the game, things that were mentioned in the game is what's been expanded in this episode.
Yeah, in the game, they explained it a lot by notes and stuff you found.
Right.
But here, they actually showed it to you.
They showed it, yeah. which I think brings more in-depth, just feeling that world that they live in.
Yeah.
This
infected world.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Either way, this show starts with Joel and Ellie walking through a field trying to get to Bill and Frank's house.
Yeah.
And they start to get to know each other a little bit more. They're walking through a field. He wants to go a separate way because he doesn't want her to see all
certain things that's been going on.
That have been.
It's like once you see it, you can't unsee it.
And Ellie keeps on showing that she's tough as shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
She's a tough little girl.
Yeah.
And they stumble upon bodies, and they kind of explain. Joe kind of explains like what happened, how the pandemic, how long did it take for the world to end? And he basically said like what, a weekend?
Pretty much.
It was like Thursday.
Started Thursday night. And then the whole weekend by Monday.
By Monday, the world was over. Like as they knew it, the world was over. And that the bodies that were there were probably not even infected.
No, at all. That she was asking. I was like,
yeah.
were these people infected? Like, no.
I don't know.
Then why would they just not leave them alone?
Right. And then what did he say?
He was like, dead bodies means less infected.
That's some cold-hearted shit. That's
Yep.
some cold, like that's the type of world that they're living in.
Of course.
Like dead bodies can't turn.
Yep.
So less people.
So why not
less
eliminate?
infected.
Yep.
That's insane. And then they go to a safe house where he has like weapons and other provisions, right?
Are you talking about the liquor store?
The liquor store.
Yeah.
Right.
He had a few things in there.
He had a stash there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a stash. Safe house stash, whatever you want to call it.
Stash house.
That I think was a cool little segue because like Ellie went on her own, went through like a little like underground like little
like a little basement area.
Bunker or whatever it was, and she saw a clicker
all smashed up.
It couldn't move. And this is how you know she's cold-blooded, because she's kind of like poking at it a little bit, and then all of a sudden she's like,
she wants to see what it's about. First she cut it.
Yeah, she cut it.
And then it looked like infected webs and stuff were coming out.
And she just smashed it. Like she's no normal little girl. Like she was raised in this world. She knows nothing of the past. And also in this show, they showed a lot of little situations, like they're having conversations, and you realize that like she knows nothing about the stuff that we know.
Yeah.
She was talking about, oh, what is that? That's a plane. Like, oh, I've never been on a plane. She was like, oh wow, that's so cool. You've been on a plane. You were in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, it's just a plane.
Just plane, pretty much.
It's just a plane.
And then he was like, well, they were in the air too.
Yeah. And later in the episode, when they're at the very end, when they're in the car, she's like, never been in a car before.
But before that,
yeah.
Remember when they're at the liquor store? There's a nod to the arcade game.
Oh yes. And she kind of
at the actual game, it's a whole fake game. I think it's called The Turning.
Right.
But on the show, they did Mortal Kombat 2.
Mortal Kombat, and she talked about Melina, and how she would
her fatality,
and how like that's the thing about this. Like they have her expressing how she is. Like she's a little girl. She's like, oh, this is the coolest game ever. And she tells her the whole story. And then the next scene, she's like stabbing a clicker in the brain, like cold-blooded, like
Mortal Kombat style.
Like Mortal Kombat style, right?
It's fatality.
I mean, she goes. Even she was talking about this is the first time I've ever been walking through the woods, which is
that was the same exact line that they used
in the game, right? Mm-hmm. So there is a lot of like connections to the game.
Yeah.
But little hints here and there in this episode because the main part of the story revolves around Bill and Frank,
of course,
right? Now,
which is definitely a side story. It wasn't in the game. It was.
It was like
it was briefly
like a prequel backstory to
right.
to
right,
which was nice and endearing.
Yes. Well, Bill's played by Nick Offerman.
Yeah.
Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec. Don't we have a Parks and Rec thing here?
3 words for you: treat yourself.
Well, he treated himself because
that's true. Actually,
he did treat himself because. Yep. I think he was happy that the world was over. Right?
He's been preparing for this.
I think he's a survivalist, right? And the Fedra took all the people in his town away, but he stayed in his bunker down low,
so they couldn't find him.
And they couldn't find him, right? Which is a weird thing. What if those people were the same people that those bodies that Ellie and Joel found? Do you think that might be the case?
That might be, but that's fucked up.
That's fucked up.
Because he would have been one of them.
Yeah, and the way that the soldiers were like, oh, we'll help you out. They're helping them with the luggage.
Well, wasn't it? It was the same people.
I think it was.
I think it's
when they went back to
the color of the blue
of the clothing.
Yeah, the clothing.
That came from one of
Swanson's
from that area.
One of the people of the town. So that's some cold-hearted stuff, man.
For sure.
For real. Like that's some crazy shit. But he literally like he literally Ron Swanson's this whole town. He goes to like Home Depot. He goes through
picking up everything he needs.
Everything. He like starts the generators.
Oh, and he's supplied for years to come.
And then they showed his bunker. He has like a arsenal, like prepping. He has all these. He booby traps everything, which those things are actually part of the game.
Yeah, all the booby trapping and all that. That's how you get to his place.
Yes.
He instead of actually him just doing his house in the show.
Yes.
He sets up the whole town.
He sets up the whole town.
So you gotta escape through his traps and everything until you get to his actual, not even his house, his office first.
Right.
In that little downtown area.
Right. So yeah. So in the game it was a little more.
Yeah, it's more clickers, more fighting, more escaping traps.
Right. Because I think we saw where Joel gets stuck in a trap.
Yeah.
He's like held upside down.
Yeah, his little rope trap.
And there's like clickers coming. He has to. So they got none of that's in the show.
Ellie's trying to cut him down.
Yeah, none of that's in the show.
No. Yeah, they skipped all that.
They skipped all that, but they had nods of that in the show by other people coming to the town, traps going off. One particular person falls in the trap, which is
Frank.
What was the gentleman's name? Oh my God, Bartlett. His last name is Bartlett. He's a great actor. You said he was in White Lotus?
Yeah, he's in the first season of White Lotus. Great job.
Great job, right?
Great job.
I want to say Murphy, but I feel like I'm wrong. He's gonna look it up. Either way, he falls in the trap, and Bill, being survivalist, is trying to say, he for some reason he says I'm gonna help. He helps him, but it tells him to get out of here.
Basically,
just to go back, it's
just leave.
Murray Bartlett.
I said Murphy. It was Murray Bartlett. There you go.
Great actor.
I was pretty close.
He's pretty damn good in this.
He was amazing in this, right? And
it took me a minute to even realize. Oh, I've seen this guy before.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I gotta say, but Nick Offerman, they both did a great job.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're amazing in this, and I don't know, for some reason he decides to let him in, even though he tells him like, if I let you in, I have to let everybody else in and feed everybody. But I don't know, for some reason he has some compassion.
Oh yeah, he's like, if I feed you and let you go, you're gonna go tell the people, and I'm gonna have people coming to my place, wanting a free meal.
Yeah, he goes, I promise I won't tell anybody. I just need something to eat. Hasn't ate for days or whatever it was. And then he invited him in. He made him a meal. And this is where the story gets really deep. This is where you realize this whole episode is about Bill and Frank's
relationship,
connection, and eventual relationship, because they start talking. You start realizing that Bill, he was basically closeted, right? Homosexual. He was never about that, but
I think he did that more for his family.
He did it. He that was, by the way, his mom's house where he stayed at. He was in the basement, right? So but the conversation that he had with Frank, you could realize that there's they get to know each other, and then there's like little things like they started playing the piano, right? And you can see like the differences in them, and it kind of like he opens up.
Frank was enthusiastic when he played it, but Bill was more feelings when he did it.
Right. And then Frank asked him, "Oh, is that song about a woman?" He's like, "No, I've never been with women."
I do have to say one thing. Like,
Yeah.
if someone didn't play the game and
Yeah.
knows who Nick Offerman and like characters he play,
Yeah.
he's pretty strong, right?
Yes.
But the one thing that kind of flipped the whole script
Right.
Yeah.
was literally when he knew how to pair. I think that's like if I look, this is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
If I saw it not knowing that Bill was gay,
Yeah.
it's the comment that he made when he says, "You know how to pair a certain red wine with rabbit," but this guy is like hardcore, like
Right.
screw
Survival.
the world,
Yeah.
police, Nazis, all that stuff.
Right. So
Well, how would
Yeah.
But Frank saw him as a big softie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like he saw right through him, and he knew right away just by the things that they were talking about. And yeah, there was an emotional connection. They kissed. I mean, regardless of what you think, like you could see when two people have a connection, and the way that this show has presented that, it's like, yeah, they fell in love, like
Yeah.
right then and there. And then they show them a few years later.
3 years later, first.
3 years later, they're like building like their
Well,
house
first,
together.
after 3 years later, they're arguing,
They are arguing, which
and that was an argument that they had on the game, but in a note.
thank you. So see, this is the things why I need you to go over this stuff, because he wrote it in the note.
Yeah.
So they had arguments in the game,
Yeah.
and they actually showed it in the show.
Yeah.
Right. But it's like they became a couple. They're
Yeah.
just like bickering over little things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I think in the show, I mean, in the game, they ended up on bad terms.
They ended up separating.
But in this
Here,
this
here
version,
they made it to the end.
they made it to the end, tragically and romantically,
Mm-hmm.
and they did it beautifully. But he basically says, "No, I wanna go to the other stores in the town. I wanna like go.
I
to
want
the
to fix
boutique.
up these places.
I want to fix up this. I want to have a garden. I want to have friends over." And of course, Bill's like, "No, we're not gonna do that." But he loves them, so he said, "All right." And next, they're having a freaking like
Dinner party.
dinner party or lunch date with
Joel and Tess.
who looks amazing, by the way. They're like, well, this is 10 years.
Yeah,
before.
the aging tools that they're using for the show is
Yeah.
really good.
Really good, top notch. Like I'm like, is that the same person, right?
Yeah, the makeup department did a good
And
job.
it's weird because Frank and Tess like get along great, and freaking Bill has a gun pointed at.
But Joe
And
already
Joel
knows.
knows that.
Joe already knows what's up.
Yeah.
He's like, I know why you're like this.
Yeah, and I know why you're like this.
Mm-hmm.
You're protecting the one you love. You're protecting the one you love. It's like, you know what? We're just gonna make this. We're gonna trade. We're gonna do things. I know we respect what you have. We're not trying to take it. We're just trying to survive. And he's like, okay. So they established the fact that they're gonna work with each other. And by the way, this is where we find out where the radio music was coming from. It's coming from
And all the different codes from the
And all the codes.
70s, 80s.
right from the
Yeah.
music,
Right.
right? 80s being
Trouble.
trouble. Which it goes off automatically when something's
that's-
wrong.
I think the
Right.
70s was like they need medicine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, was it the first episode when the music started playing before the episode ended?
Yep, that's
And then-
exactly what
and that
happened.
was- that's
and
what
it was
the-
it was
the
like a
80s song.
Depeche Mode song.
Yeah.
An 80s song.
Yeah, yeah.
Which pretty much says that
There's trouble coming.
I think they were already dead.
Yeah, at that
Oh,
point.
yeah,
they were-
yeah,
At that
they were-
point,
yeah.
at that point they were already dead because the emergency radio thing went off, which
Yeah.
means they were already gone.
Right, because it only happens if he didn't, was it type in a code or
Yeah,
or
reset the code or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So
Reset-
And
basically,
it's actually the code is one of the years of the songs. I think it was a 60s song, if I'm not mistaken. 1960 something was the password, and then the other one was to
I
flip it
see.
in reverse.
See,
Yeah.
see, these are the little details that the producers went to like make this game as accurate. I mean, make this TV show as accurate as possible, and make all the connections. Yeah, and even okay. So let's get into this real quick. There was a lot of things that happened. Joel warns him like people are gonna come for your town, so be ready to protect it because
Well, he's telling him that because he wants him to help out.
Yeah.
Like help out,
And
help me out,
them
and we'll help
We'll
you
have
out.
we got medicine. We'll
We
do
got
this.
we got these parts. We got this.
Which is funny because after that there were raiders that came in, and that's when all the booby traps went off, and Joel was injured. Bill was injured. Frank has to save him.
Well, I think Bill got injured because of Frank.
Or protect him because he's trying to save him.
No, because Bill was doing a good job when he was fighting him. But then
He
when remember
distracted
Frank,
him.
yeah, when Frank came out, he was like, "Wait, go back in."
Yeah, and that's when he got hit. Which leads to he saves him, but the next scene is 10 years later,
Yeah,
which is 2023, right? But a few months before, and Frank is in a wheelchair. He looks like he's.
he ended up getting some disease.
Yeah.
that there was
It's
no cure.
not. It's
No
not
cure for
said, but it looks like it could be like cancer, or I
I'm
thought
gonna
it.
assume it was cancer because he did make a comment like even before the pandemic, there was
Right.
nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, that's the little line that tells you it was something, and basically he's like, you know what, I know I don't want to live like this. I already made a decision. I want to take these pills, and fall asleep and never wake up.
But let this last day be my best day.
Right, and he obviously Bill refused at first, but he said, you know what, let's do it. And they had like the best day ever. They got dressed up. They got married. They had this. By the way, the meal they had was the same meal from the first date
Yep,
they had,
and with the same the same
and
drink
the
as
same
well.
wine and same everything. And then next he pours the medicine. He drinks it, and Bill drinks his too. He goes, by the way, mine has enough to kill an elephant as well. And he realizes, like, okay, he's like, Frank's like, you know what? Part of me tells me that I should.
I don't approve of this, but that's
Yeah,
very romantic.
It's
of
very
him.
romantic. And they went up to the room, went to bed, never woke up. And that's when we come back to Joel and Ellie getting back to the town.
Back to
Right.
present day.
Present day. They didn't have to go through all the traps because
battles
they
and
already.
Or maybe we didn't see it.
Maybe we didn't see it, but he had the code to go into the gate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Joe's already been there, so that
Step.
means if Joe's already been there, then
Yeah.
there was no.
Yeah.
Yeah, he already knew how to get through all of it.
He did, right? So he came in. They went into the town. Bill and Frank nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
That's when Ellie found the notes,
Mm-hmm.
which is a nod to the game because of all the notes.
He leaves a note for him as well in the game.
And that's when you read everything that Bill said. He goes, basically, he's like, I wasn't made for this world, but I realized that I need to be alive for. Like, until I met somebody, I knew there was a purpose for my life. Now that life's over, he's basically telling Joe, like, I didn't even like you either, but you know what? You have somebody you care for. Make sure.
Yeah, and that was sad because he added Tess into that, thinking
Right,
that
he didn't want to read it.
Tess is still alive.
And that's the first time you see Joel kind of break down just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, and he even said, "Don't say her name, right?" Because he did care about her, but he's tough as nails.
Yeah.
But that little speech was really about Joel having to take care of, Ellie now.
Mm-hmm.
So even though Tess is gone, Ellie takes that place,
Yeah.
right? And
Well, he told him in the note, like, you need to find something to fight for,
Yes.
which he thought it was going to be Tess, but
he
it's
thought
actually
it was going to be
it's going
Tess.
to be this girl.
But it was Ellie. And he basically bequeathed his whole arsenal, his whole stash to Joel. They go
take
down,
everything you want.
they get the battery. They figure out how to make the battery for
Which
the
is
truck,
all in the fridge so it can stay perfect.
Yeah.
And then they
which
build
is
it.
part of the game, the whole point of the game. They take his truck, and they drive off. And Joel decides, you know what? Let's just go see my brother. My brother was a Firefly. Maybe he will know what to do. So their next goal is to
to get over
Go
there.
to
out
Wyoming.
west.
go to Wyoming, and that's where this episode leaves off. Now, I
Yep.
mean, real quick, my last thing I'm gonna say of this is like this show like hits, man. Like they really try to hit you hard with the in-depth story. And basically, for me, the way I see it is Frank and Bill's story is Joel and Ellie's story.
Well, it's going to become that.
Yeah.
It's going well. That's the whole point, right? Like,
I do have one thing I need
Yes.
to say. Like,
Yes.
being a Walking Dead
Uh-huh.
fanatic and like
Absolutely.
watching almost every episode,
Yeah.
I was afraid that this was going to be the same thing.
right,
But the storyline, I mean, I played the game 10 years ago, whatever.
right.
But like just coming back and watching this, it's so good and it's such a good adaptation
Yes.
that I don't even feel like it's a copy of anything. It's its
No,
own,
it's its own thing.
and it's great. They
There's
did a great
there's
job.
some shows that actually want to put you to sleep. You know,
No.
some other shows
Yeah.
they want to put you to sleep. You think it's gonna be good, and then you're like halfway through, and you're like, oh, mouth. Nah, this, it keeps you on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. It's all right. We're good. We're good. Now, last thing. Anything that you noticed differently from, like, obviously everything.
The end scene where Ellie is like super amazed about the truck and all.
Yes.
She's never been in one.
Right.
In the game, it's different.
Okay.
She does know how to drive a car.
Or she's been in a car before.
No, she can drive. She can drive a manual.
Oh, okay.
Remember, she has to pop the clutch.
Again, this is why you have to remember this stuff. I haven't played it in years, so okay. So there's the big difference.
That's the big difference.
And then they showed scenes for the next episode, and it looks like the action is coming hard and heavy and fast.
Yep.
So I'm really excited. So let's see how it goes. All right.
I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Very excited.
So stay tuned because we will be back. We're gonna get some more of that for our episode 4 review.
For sure. All right, guys. Like, subscribe, comment, follow us. We'll be on later on this week.
And tell us what you think about this episode. Anything else that you noticed that we didn't notice?
Yeah.
Let
Leave
us
us
know.
in the comments. All right, guys. We out. Late.